Hi, welcome back to Frequently Asked Fridays, where we here at Martin IP Law Group answer your questions about intellectual property matters. This week we're going to do a kind of a follow-up to one we did a couple weeks ago about getting your logo designed. Another consideration in that regard, and we'll put a link in here for you to get to that one. Another consideration to think about, particularly I know a lot of people go online to have their logo designed. And for other services through sites like Upwork or Fiverr are a couple common sites where you can go and you can contract somebody to design your logo, to design software, to do any number of things maybe that you want them to do. One thing to be aware of in these situations is who owns that intellectual property and what you need to do to make sure you own that intellectual property. If you go to either Fiverr's website or if you go to Upwork's website, their terms of service really sort of discuss that in some general terms. And I think Upwork's terms of service specifically state that it's up to the agreement between the two parties, between the designer and the purchaser, to determine who owns the intellectual property. It also goes on to specifically say that the designer shall transfer or assign those rights to the purchaser, but ultimately there needs to be a written agreement. Fiverr is kind of similar in that it specifically it doesn't say that there needs to be a separate agreement, but it does say in their terms of service that the purchaser does own or will own the intellectual property when they have a logo designed or something designed by a contractor that involves intellectual property. Looking back on it though, really intellectual property law in the United States, particularly copyright law, the author of a work is typically the owner of the copyright to a work. So the author in this case is going to be the contractor. Typically absent a written agreement transferring those rights, the author is going to be the owner, not the purchaser. So that's why it's important to make sure you get something in writing with the contractor that you're hiring, whether that be through Upwork, Fiverr, or some other independent source. Make sure you get it in writing and get it documented, signed by both parties that you own the intellectual property, not the designer. Hope that's been helpful. We're going to actually put a link in this to a checklist that we put together so that you can look at that and determine whether or not you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's in designing your logo. So go to that link, and then if you have any further questions about designing your logo or protecting those rights, contact us here. We'd be happy to help you. Thanks. Have a great weekend.